Hey, can you start again for me, because that way I can see who the faces are for each team? Who's that one? And who's with you?
Officer Captain Growl, Figure, Gifford.
Okay.
Bravo.
Can we stand together in teams, everyone? So,
And then,
Charlie.
who's Charlie? Charlie right here. Charlie right there. You wanna do us?
I got you.
Yeah, Charlie. Okay. And then Delta,
I'm recording.
Oh, you
All right, we got Major Hyde. Got Sergeant Ellis. Command Group, HUC Command Group. There we are. S1. Got 3, 4. We're kind of covering for a minute.
He's back there.
is
Okay.
she, okay, there?
Yep, we got 6. Spanky. Okay, looks like we got everyone. Okay, we're gonna start out by reviewing the Operation Growl risk assessment. Sergeant Spangler is gonna take us through that.
Hey, good morning, I'm Staff Sergeant Spangler. The subtask is going to be the live ranges. Hazard is mishandled ammo. We're going to have the appropriate placards on the vehicles. We're going to store the ammo in accordance with Fort Riley, Kansas regulations. Live and blank must be segregated. No live ammo will leave ranges unless returned in. NCOICs will conduct shakedown daily. There's also a no IOTV exception to policy. The range safety officer will remain on the firing line. There will be a 2-to-1 ratio of lane safeties to fires. OIC/RSO will spend additional time during safety brief on muzzle awareness and safety handling. Environmental consideration, cold weather injuries, or possible 40+ degree temperatures with high humidity. The control soldiers will need to bring chapstick, sunscreen, and sunglasses. Proper hydration must be monitored and enforced to prevent injuries. GSA tactical POV/POM vehicle operations, using mobile phone or texting while driving. Drivers will not use mobile phone while operating civilian/military vehicles. Drivers will pull off the road to use and stop to use mobile phones. Aggressive driving, speeding, inattentive driving. Operators will observe posted speed limits and local traffic laws. Effective leadership at unit level. Failure to use safety restraints, including failure to fasten cargo strap and failure to use gunner restraints. All occupants will wear a seatbelt/harness and helmet. Gunners will use the restraint. Not authorized for transport of troops in LMTB rear cargo area. Fatigue driving extended distances, unfamiliar roads and driving conditions. No travel on roads before 0600 daily. Plan for rest stops, observe local traffic laws and posted speed limits, and incorporate sleep plans. Allow more time for inclement weather, drive with headlights on, and conduct recon of route travel prior to execution of training event. Inclement weather, limit driving during inclement weather, drive with headlights on, monitor road and weather conditions, adjust speed, and allow for increased travel time. Pull off route to safe location until the visibility improves. Overall residual risk level will be medium. The overall supervision plan and recommended course of action. This draw is strongly informed by the 86th Division safety plans. Most human/environmental hazards can be mitigated through physical readiness and training before the exercise. Leaders throughout the battalion are responsible for identifying and addressing hazards. OCT should pay particular attention to live rounds, must conduct shakedowns, check licenses and muzzle awareness, tactical vehicle driving, keep it slow, use PPE, and ground guides. That is all.
No, make sure you hit this one. Call that one out.
Medical considerations, soldiers with asthma, allergies, allergic reactions to food, plants, bee stings, previous heat, and cold injuries. OIC, NCOIC will identify soldiers with medical issues and verify presence of inhalers, EpiPens, and previous heat/cold injury identification. Unit will identify in March and April battle assemblies who those people are. And the unit will provide emergency service contact number on the commo cards.
I have one question.
Sir.
You talked about the IOTV not required. Do we have a copy of that acceptance policy somewhere? Like I said,
There are some copies of these on the desk. I will also send out the digital version to all the OICs and CRCs. Okay, Master Batista is going to orient everyone to the sand table.
Before you do that, can I just have a couple of minutes really quick?
Absolutely.
So, hey, you know, we talked about this for those of you that weren't with me for last year. You know, I tried to talk to you at the first newcomers brief, which was like September or something, and then I think we did another one in December, February, something like that. So our entire training strategy for our combat power is predicated for this event right here. This is the evaluation event for all of you as OCTs, right? The Army says that we have a mission to do on their behalf, and my combat power for that mission is your ability to be a highly skilled, trained OCT and be able to evaluate training based on a commander's training objectives. The S3 and I published the training guidance for FY25, which brings us to this point. The battle captains within the S3 section took our lessons learned from last year, incorporated them into the training/terrain model for this year, and that is what you have before you today. It is imperative that as we walk through this, you think laterally how you are going to interact, or if you see something that doesn't make sense. Last year, Major Hyde was able to point out a couple of things that we needed to deconflict that absolutely removed the training distractors before we ever got to Fort Riley. The one thing that will kill us is a training distractor. We do not have enough time to make a significant deviation from our training plan and still be able to incorporate this very aggressive training strategy that we have. This is a lot of moving pieces. That's going to happen in about 2.5 training days, even though it's 4 days on a calendar. It's going to go fast, and if we get derailed somewhere, we're not going to have a lot of time to catch up. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I need all of you thinking and paying attention regardless of what team you're on and what task you're doing. Do not hesitate to call something out. You know, we found Captain Eggleston's team called out a big thing between 0 and qualification last year that we were able to fix before we ever got there. All right? Anybody have any questions on the intent of what's taking place? All right? Because I'm going to hold each and every one of you accountable on how you deliver your piece of this. All right? And this is not we're going out to train on individual tasks. We are going out to execute and evaluate against individual tasks. We will PMI, we will coach and mentor on some of the things, but we are evaluating each other as part of our culminating event before we go to annual training. Everybody clear? All right, thanks, Battle Captain.
I'm going to orientate you on the terrain model. We're going to start from the north is that way, as stated by the arrow, black arrow over there. We'll start from the west side, from Ogden. So the barracks are being in building 1832. The road right there is Hoopla Road. The road north of that is Campbell Road. On the south side will be the hospital, Irwin Hospital. The red, it indicates that it's a primary route. The yellow will be alternate, as pointed at Wilson Point Road. The AMA is right there. On the north side, there'll be ranges 1 and 2 by Rubia Road. And on the east side, there'll be TA 24 alongside Normandy Drive and the ESP building. Any questions? You guys got it?
All right. Situation, 2/3 TSBN prepares for WarX 2502, July 25th, or 2025. As the battalion prepares to conduct WarX, the battalion must validate staff and OCT training. The battalion must also continue to improve readiness and increase soldier basic skills. Our mission, 2nd Battalion, 383rd Regiment conducts Operation Growl 10 to 13 April 2025 at Fort Riley, Kansas to prepare the battalion for WarX 2502. I say again, 2nd Battalion, 383rd Regiment conducts Operation Growl 10 to 13 April at Fort Riley, Kansas to prepare for WarX 2502. The Colonel went over some of the key tasks, but we're just going to hit them in order here. Validate OCT and staff preparedness for hands-on training, conduct preparation activities that are leading up to the April Battle Assembly, execute ADVON activities to set the conditions for the battalion's overall success, execute CP exercises, battle tracking exercises, forecast requirements, conduct training records management, and set conditions for OCT operations, and conduct information management to validate staff's ability to effectively manage information. Through that, we'll be validating our XSOP again this year. The end state, OCTs are prepared for WarX. The battalion identifies additional training requirements so OCTs are prepared to conduct future operations, and the battalion commander has assessed and evaluated the OCTs and staff for our battalion. So we're gonna brief execution by phase similar to what we did last month. Phase 0, this began at the beginning of TY25, and it has included the completion of key warrior skills, CLS certification, resourcing, planning, and coordinating for Operation Growl, and its finalization of April VA ESMP, as well as Operation Growl's rock drill, which we are currently doing right now. This phase ends upon the completion of our rock drill today. The next phase that we'll move into is initiate movement. This phase begins on 07 April with initial movement to Fort Riley, Kansas. The key tasks for this are ADVON activities and then movement of the main body. On 7 April, we will have 2 boots on ground here at in this vicinity. It'll be Sergeant Teal and Sergeant G, and they're going to be conducting a few tasks to prepare for that week. They will be drawing LMTV from ECS 33, transporting weapons to Fort Riley, as well as securing the arms room there. On the 8th of April, we will include Major McCumber into the mix. He will be helping draw ammunition for Fort Riley, Kansas, transporting that ammunition to the AHA, signing for barracks, and a couple other key buildings that we'll be using. ADVON officially starts on 9 April. The tasks for ADVON will kind of be divvied up between S4 tasks and essentially S3 tasks. The S3 will handle all of the things that incorporate reconning, going to the training locations, touching base with range control, also setting up the command post. And all other functions will go through the 4, which will include drawing vehicles and equipment from ECS, dispatching and PMCSing vehicles, drawing equipment from Task C. I'm anticipating that we should have about 14 personnel from Leavenworth, and we will have about 4 personnel from Elkhorn. That will make up our 18 total personnel for ADVON. On the 10th, ADVON prepares to accept the main body. The main body should depart no later than, I think we changed this to 08, if I'm not correct on that. I think initially we said 09. Do you remember? 08, okay. So departing home station no later than 08. S1 will be conducting RSOI activities and maintaining the first stop. Teams will be issued their vehicles and equipment upon arrival from Sergeant Teal, so be prepared to drop your bags and really hit the ground running. And we'll be officially establishing our command post activities. I anticipate at that point in time, we'll have roughly about 21 personnel coming in from Elkhorn and 27 personnel from Leavenworth. For the majority of the time, it'll be Alpha Mike Alpha. For that day, it'll be Mike Alpha. This phase ends at the completion of RSOI. Now we're going to get into phase 2, which is a training phase. This begins with the COMEX as teams are departing the motor pool to go up to the EST. The key events during this are the EST drivers training, the M16 and M17 ranges, cruiser weapon familiarization. Round robin also includes the command post activities. So at this point, we're going to start to brief our actions on objective, and I will turn it over to the teams. One second. Sir, in your binder, you have a CONOP for the M16 range also. I know Captain Orzo Major Orzo and Major Zobel will brief you on that. I just want to make sure you have that in your
Okay.
First, I'm going to hand it over to Sergeant Kadabi, who's going to brief the EST.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah, so our task is the EST 2000. Our purpose is to ensure leaders and postures complete all rifle tables. My team will compose of 6 members during the phase BA. The range OIC is myself, Sergeant First Class Academy. The EST operator is Staff Sergeant Professor and Sergeant First Class Locals. Sergeant Bomogo and Sergeant Pruitt are the CLSs and Kazivac. And the RTO is Staff Sergeant Hicks, and he will also be the bridge trainer. Our situation as part of a larger OCT certification, each team will follow through the EST 2000 at building 7767 to complete the rifle table 2, which is a prerequisite to complete rifle tables, and it also is an effective way to gain proficiency and conserving resources. Our concept, upon arrival to Camp Dunstan around 11 a.m., Team Fox will unload their equipment and sign for 12 M4s and 24 magazines. We also sign for 3 M17 pistols. These weapons will be transported in a Humvee. We will conduct movement and sign for building 1767. After signing for the building and equipment, the team will begin to set prepare to receive the first iteration of firearms. As time and resources permit, Team F will fire through the EST and driver's training to ensure readiness for follow-on operations. Team movement from driver's training to EST and vice versa is synchronized to ensure the efficient use of time and ensure teams can conduct each event successfully. Once the team arrives at EST 2000, they'll receive a range of safety brief and will be signing a lane for execution. We are expecting the range to be ready at 12:30. The uniform conducting EST is the complete OCT uniform with BCH. Teams not on the range will stage outside of the building and conduct Table 3 weapons trainings, magazine and shooting position drills. In case of inclement weather, drills will be conducted inside the building. After all firearms are completed with the M4s, the EST will be changed over to the pistol qualification course. Our current timeline is, and what teams we expect to be there, is Team Alpha will arrive at the EST building at 12:30. Bravo will be 13:30. Charlie will be 14:30. Delta will be 15:30. Golf will be 16:30. And staff will be 17:30. Teams E and F will filter through as available. Let's see. On that, teams will move together organically to and from training events by 50 passenger ends. Team F will communicate with Team E to ensure a smooth flow of personnel between each event and minimize downtime. Any questions? That concludes my brief.
So one question, what's the, so when Team Alpha arrives, the assumption is that they're gonna be on one 15-pack van. What's the number for Alpha? Is it 8, 10, 6?
I believe it is less than
5? Okay. All right, so then,
Yeah, the range should support 10 people at a time.
okay. Do we have any teams larger than 10? No? Okay. So it should be fairly smooth. The question for the 3. I'm good with your brief. I don't have any other questions for you specifically. What else is concurrently happening while if A is there and B is on deck, what are C, D, and,
Yeah, that
or C and D doing? Or are we gonna have like a horse blanket?
we'll have a horse blanket.
Okay.
Also driver's training will be taking place.
Okay.
Driver's training will actually essentially be going on the duration of the exercise as well, just because we have so many people that have to get through the JLTV training.
Okay.
But I'm gonna, excuse me, hand it over to Master Sergeant Jones to actually brief some of that too.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I have one alibi for the EST. So if they're gonna fire pistols at the end, I think we're gonna have a problem with synchronization of teams moving back and forth because they'll have to have separate transportation to get the pistol fires back to the EST. So maybe we set up 1 or 2 lanes with pistol qual and the rest of the lanes with M4. So that way, when the teams show up, they could do the M4 and the pistol and minimize movement.
Okay.
I don't know if the EST is capable of doing that, sir.
Okay.
I'll just double check, but I don't think, we can't run 2 different ranges on it.
Okay.
We can prioritize pistol firings with the staff. If we wanna do that.
Who's our scribe?
We're in
Oh, these are right here.
Oh, you taking the nuance? Okay, perfect.
Because that does bring up a good point, because the individual teams and the NCOICs aren't gonna have a chance to do EST 2000. They have to
This
go
is a
back.
bigger conversation.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
go ahead.
All right, Master Sergeant Jones, I'm gonna turn it over to you to brief, driver's training.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Driver's training, we're gonna start with the ASON going down at night to do, recon on the, driving site, which will be up by Task C. And that'll continue on after the recon is done. We're going to conduct, JLTV training with Matt Dart down there. And then, on April 10th, at 1100 when main body arrives, we're planning to take our folks up after they secured their equipment to the, training site and begin at roughly 1300 with the first, team coming through. And it'll be roughly 45 minutes to an hour per team of getting everybody through. We're gonna utilize our Humvees and, if possible, utilize their Humvees as well in order to expedite training out. The, rotation is gonna be at 1300, Delta team, 1400 Golf, 1500 staff, 1600 Alpha, 1700 Bravo, and 1800 would be Charlie. And then, just like Start Academy, we're gonna filter in with EST as time allows with the excess people that we may have in order to spare to make sure that everybody gets EST qualified. The staffing will consist of myself as being NCOIC. I will have Sergeant Posofsky and Sergeant Schlotsky as my safety brief. I'll have graders as Sergeant Ball, Sergeant Bennett, Sergeant Allen, and Sergeant Gomez. Were you able to post up the map of the area, ma'am?
We do have a map, it might not be what you're intending for it to be.
Okay,
No, we're okay. We got a good
We
idea.
gotta,
we'll keep moving on.
It's where we're at.
okay.
Who's your evac person dedicated?
Evac person I would have to put as Sergeant Ball.
Okay. Any preliminary things that we have to do as the individuals going through the training? Do we have to bring anything or?
Everybody has to make sure they bring their
No, I don't think so. What about license? Do we have to have a license to get on the driving range with you?
This is gonna be our familiarization, so if everybody has their driver's license from last year, please bring those. And then once we complete driver's training, we'll have our master driver enter the, new, grade sheets in and be able to just generate new list before we go to Warx.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Master, appreciate it.
Does the audience, anybody in the audience have any questions for driver's training
Or
or
EST.
EST?
I'll get some of this information from the team up there to make sure it's published on the synchronization matrix so that you know what there is.
Are we doing any LTV driving as well, or just the Humvee?
I wasn't anticipating any LMTV driving, sir, just because we have to prioritize the JLTV.
Okay.
So,
Question about EST, are we gonna be reporting people's scores in the event that we don't have enough ammo or people don't qualify on the live range to utilize that for their weapons qualification?
that, are you asking me?
In general, right, you can complete your qualification on an EST as opposed to a live range, it's not ideal, but if we're looking to get people qualified, it would be a missed opportunity if we just discard their scores. I didn't see anybody reporting that last year, so.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, just make sure.
I don't think we're going to have an issue with ammo
Okay.
anymore, but it's still a good call out, just to report it.
The answer is yes, so they are planning on recording
The answer is yes.
Right, thank you, man.
Good call out.
The only deconfliction I see with Thursday is evening meal. We've got training going on through 1900 continuously, so that's something that I wrote down. We've got to make sure that, because we've got people training up there, but we also have the trainers that need to be fed up there, so. It's the only deconfliction or
Do you write
alibi.
that down for me? Okay, at this time, we're gonna transition over to Team Bravo to brief the M17 range.
Sir, team, good morning. I'm Major Cohen, the OIC for Team Bravo. I'll be briefing actions on the M17 range.
Can you speak up a little bit, because they gotta hear you too?
Roger that. Can you hear me on the phone? All right. Task force, myself, OIC's Major Hood, Range RSO, Master Sergeant of Attack. Instructor trainers, myself, and Master Sergeant of Attack. Lane safeties will be a 1-for-1 swap to be conducted on the range. I'll get into that when we get into actions on. Ammo detail, we start First Class Scotty Bush, Staff Sergeant Tate, Staff Sergeant Shivels, Kazovac, CLS personnel, Staff Sergeant Tate, and Staff Sergeant Shivels. Range box, our equipment that will be coordinated, taken with, and received on site. Range box from Second 383, Master Sergeant Attack, conducted inspection yesterday afternoon. They'll have all of our cleaning supplies for the weapons and also cleaning supplies for the facilities, that way we don't need mess. We'll also have a range box from Range Control, which will have all the targetry on board and supporting equipment. All right. Excuse me. All right, we're still in phase 2. Conducting movement. We'll start with the initial timeline. 0700, Bravo team will assemble vicinity camp functions and barracks, conduct PCIs, and then coordinate movement to range 1. 0730, or excuse me, at 0715, we begin movement from Huber Road, up Campbell Hill Road, to Rubio Road, to 1st Division, and then arrive at range 1. Actions on, 0800, we expect to receive ammo on site with approximately 400 rounds for the MCDT personnel and 1,360 rounds of 9mm for 2nd to the 383. No later than 0900, range will go hot for 2nd to the 383. The personnel on site will conduct site orientation, safety brief, and PMI. Priorities of fire will be teams Charlie and Delta for conduct of the M16 range, followed by team Alpha. We'll then conduct our records of fire, our familiarization fire and records of fire until approximately 10:30. Range will go cold for second of the 383. At about 10:45 expected, timeline is subject to change based off of Major Happy's information once we hear back from MCTD. Range will then go hot again, specifically for the MCTD personnel. We'll conduct orientation, safety brief, and PMI. This portion of the range is only expected to last about an hour and a half. Range will go into a cold status or MCTD with range closure at approximately 12:30. Between 13 and 1400, we expect to conduct range inspections and close out for departure. This is subject to change based off of arrivals. While on site, we'll conduct log stats battalion every 2 hours with percentage of fires complete by team and rounds expended. Our PACE plan, primary is radio, alternate is signal, contingency cell phone, emergency runner. Range ops contact information, primary is 36.6, alternate 32.15, phone 785-239-4200 or 4281. And we also have the aircraft advisory channel of 40.8. Due outs from this is allergy information for the Team B personnel. Identified risks is shooter movement deconfliction amongst the teams. S3 is already tracking with the creation of a horse blanket for movement. And then also the MLTD arrival times. Sir, any of your questions?
I don't have any questions on ammo authorization. Do you know if we're gonna have enough time to do kind of a retrain station, conduct PMI again, and then put fires back through? I'm not looking at you, battle captain. I was not looking at you. I'm just thinking in general. For folks to shoot.
No, that's great. So this is a condensed timeline. This timeline is expected to grow.
Okay.
And so based off of needs for the fires, needs of the MCTD crew, we expect this timeline to shift to the right. Realistic expectations will probably be out of there about 1500, sir.
Okay, and I expect the brigade commander and brigade sergeant major to shoot with us. I think they'll be there on site with us.
What are you tracking as total number of fires from our battalion right now?
Total number of fires, sir, I'm tracking 29 as of today.
Okay.
That includes them.
Okay.
And then we're expecting between 10 and 15 from MCTD. We'll know by April 10th.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll hear back today, but.
Roger.
And who was your ambulance guy that you designated?
That is Staff Sergeant Tate.
Okay, and you got a strip map for
Yes, sir.
the route back to the ambulance?
Yes, sir.
And that goes, I forgot to mention that for EST and for driver's training, you gotta have a strip map of the route for CAS-EVAC. Okay, perfect. I don't have any other questions. Anybody else got any questions?
As the 29 fires, does that include the staff?
Yes.
Staff
What's the timeline? I heard the team's timeline to get up there. When are you expecting staff members to get up there to shoot this?
So that's going to be deconflicted with the horse blanket.
Okay.
So as far as like the movement matrix, so that's to be published.
Right, that's it.
So really, if you're a pistol firer, your place of duty is at that range by
with S3.
9 and ready to go as soon as those initials. So when they say teams, we're only talking 2 to 3 personnel per team are pistol firers. So you said 6 lanes?
Roger.
Yeah, so each section will be 12 people and consists of 2 iterations, so.
We go pretty quick.
Yeah.
Major Orzo also has a question.
Yes, Major Orzo.
Yeah, so I just wanted to make sure I was understanding, is the concept that all of the M16, M17 fires are going to go over to the M17 range, run through their fall, and then head back to start their ranges? Because the timeline he presented, at least, was a little bit in conflict with my timeline and Major Zobel's timeline was going to be.
So as we talked yesterday, one OIC can stay on range 2, and then the other one can run over and fire, and at some time, you guys can switch as needed.
Okay, that was my
We'll have to do the same thing in the command post as well, so.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's just that was, it sounded like it was all of us going over at once. That wasn't clear.
Yeah, certainly.
Just like we deconflicted yesterday,
Yeah.
and that'll be represented on Force Blanket.
Key to success here is maintaining good communication with battle captains, so that way we're transparent with who's on, who's coming to us, so we get people in and out as quickly as possible.
Oh, okay. All right, now we're gonna transition over to the M16 range. I believe Major Zobel and Major Orzo will be briefing that.
Morning, sir. Major Noble, Team Charlie. I'll be working with Major Orso, in charge of Team Delta. We'll be kind of a joint range. I'll be the 0. Major Orso will be the qualification range. On 11th of April, 06, we will depart Camp Funkston. I have 9 personnel from my team and 7 personnel for Major Orso's team.
What time did you say you're reporting?
06.
Oh, 06, okay.
Sure. And then we'll depart Capitol, we'll go on Capitol Hill Road, Rubio Road, and First Division. We'll occupy range 2. From there, we'll arrive there at 0630. We have a range ammo either at 07, and we plan on going hot at 08. Of course, we'll start with the 0 range. Everyone, teams that come in there will give myself or Major Orso will give the range brief, the safety brief. At first, we plan that there'll be a lot of coordination with the Major Orso's team because we will have to work together. The key is the surge for the 0 range because they no one can qualify to the 0. So if Major Orso needs to provide personnel for us to get more people 0, people can coordinate that. And from there, we'll have 2 separate ammo sheds. I'll have an ammo shed, and then we'll load up. Every person will get 6 5-round magazines, and then they'll have 3 when they go to 0. They'll have 3 magazines that are used to group 3 to 0, and we'll have to again we'll have to make sure at all times monitoring ammo consumption. If a soldier can clearly 0 right away, we'll have them use less mags in order to save ammunition for those that are having a hard time grouping and 0ing. Throughout the day, we will rotate our personnel through the M17 range and through our M16 qualifications. I will keep in contact with Major Hood in order to know that when we're cycling personnel over to the M17 range, that he can let me know when they need us there by, just because we will, many of us have to fire the M17.
Okay, can you pause right there for 1 second? Where is Mercedes? You down here?
Sure, yeah.
Hey, what time does is the range road gate maintained 24?
It is.
It is, okay. There's a gate right there that you have to cross through.
Roger, the
4 corners.
They call it 4 corners.
Yeah, 4 corners that gate. Okay, it is maintained 24 hours there? Okay, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a while, and I've never had an issue before. And with this range, we only need 1 OIC and RSO. So when it's time for me or Mayor Orso to qualify or go to the 17 range, we can just switch out. So Major Orso has himself and Master Machetta as OIC in the qual range. He has Sergeant First Class Masters and Boji. And I'll have myself and Captain Shepard be able to rotate out as RSO or OIC. So that is one of the advantages that we have at our range is that it doesn't require 2 separate OICs into RSOs. Again, from there, we're going to rotate our ammo for the ammo shed. We'll have 2 personnel in the ammo shed. I will rotate, and it's only 5-round mags. You don't have to have them. It's not as difficult as doing the ammo shed for the M16 range. And for the FLA driver, we have Sergeant Youngblood and Sergeant Jordan assigned, and again, we'll rotate them throughout the day. And we only need 1 FLA and CLS person for the combined 0 and qual range. And
Say that again?
we only need 1 FLA
Between the 2 sites?
between the 2 sites.
Okay.
So we don't need 2 separate, not 2 separate requirements.
coordination, we plan to, if M16 qual needs assistance, we will provide safeties. I guess the biggest key to this is maintaining communication with the M16 qual range. I'll have my own, we'll have separate radios, so I'll be able to contact the Major Orso at all times. So if he needs help or we need help, we can supply personnel.
Okay.
And this will go on throughout the day until completion.
Is it till completion, or do we have a no later than time with range control? Is it 1700 or 1800?
I think it's actually 600.
On Friday.
Thank you.
And they really told me ideally 1600, they said 1630 last time, because they liked us.
1600 on Friday, we need to have everybody through.
Major Orso, did you have anything else you wanted to add regarding the qual?
Just the rotation that we were gonna do with the fires. So my team will be split into two general shifts. We'll have people dedicated to roles, and then the others that are not dedicated, like Major Sobel said, will be able to support as needed, either on their side or our side, and then we'll just rotate our soldiers through in terms of who's going to be OIC or RSO, so they get their own qualifications in. And then in terms of fires coming up, our plan is to they will be received at the ammo shed. They'll receive 85 rounds. That'll be 5 rounds for a known distance 300 meter zero confirmation, and then they'll receive 2 20-round mags and 4 10-round mags to be enough to complete table 5 and table 6 if needed. What we'll do is, for example, if we receive 10 soldiers, we will give 5 soldiers to go up to the line, and then they will run through through their known distance, and then do table 5. If a couple of those soldiers qualify, they get 23 or more on table 5, then we'll have them step back, and the other soldiers will finish with table 6, and then they'll rotate. So the soldiers not firing will be the safeties, and then they'll rotate, and the ones that did fire will step back and be the safeties for that lane. And then once both iterations are complete, they will be checked off of the range. The intent behind this is to try to conserve ammo, or try to get as many as we can through in the event that we maybe get more than 34 fires, which is the anticipated amount based off of ammunition. So either getting more than that, up to 38, or if we have anybody that needs a second go at it, then hopefully we'll have more ammunition with those that qualify off of just table 5 alone. The expectation, though, is that everybody's going to get one chance going through. So they'll get a table 5 and a table 6. If they do not qualify after table 6, then they'll have to be on standby to see where we're at for ammunition. So that way everybody gets at least one chance to go through. You already have the CASEVAC plan, sir. And uniform on the range is going to be with uniform a lot of places of their OCT with eye pro, ear pro, ACH gloves for personal protection equipment.
Did you guys check the range box for that range? Make sure we got air pro. Okay.
Yes, I was informed that.
Yeah, so there is a request to RS for confirmation. I think we had range boxes there in Leavenworth, and it sounds like we've got a lot of the stuff we need, and then requested just a backfill on anything for that small stuff like your pro, CLS, or not CLS, excuse me, CLP. And so we should be good to go on that as well, sir.
Scott, what's the minimum number of fireworks that you guys will shoot? You would be willing to shoot in an iteration?
Well, we can go up to technically 16, but I mean, we're running fires 2 groups in one iteration, so they're going to be a safety and a fire combination. So probably more like 8 to 10. But really, in terms of the safety numbers, it's going to be the number of people that we receive.
Right.
So we'll pair them up.
And last year, last year was, sometimes we were struggling to get 4 from qualification up to, or from 0 up to qualification. So
Right.
what's the minimum that you're gonna put out on the range before we run it? 6, 8? Some even number, right? Or
Yeah,
5 and grab somebody?
I would like to say 8 is our
8,
minimum
okay.
number. Yeah,
All right.
we'll have to monitor that flow and see how it goes. But the intent was to allow it to stack a little bit from the 0, and then we start slow from there. And if it goes well in terms of zero to qualification flow, then we should always have a firing order ready to go when the others are coming off.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Also, best practice learned from last year with AAR, Captain Ailson brought up making sure that the two locations, the qual and the zero, have separate ammunition so that they can record total rounds by location.
Yeah, so.
That's something we
so
talked
do-
about yesterday.
We do plan on tracking that. In addition to that, we'll be tracking, at an iteration level, we went through what their scores were, and then cross-referencing that against the alpha roster and who's qualified, who hasn't, for reporting purposes up to operations. The expectation though is the team OICs and COICs are driving their soldiers through the range and not us driving them through the range.
I would
So we'll
agree
be tracking
completely.
qualified, but, you know, then everyone's gonna have to make sure they actually get through.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Who's the, I hate to say this, but each of you are gonna have your own class 3 stuff, your own water, everybody's laying water on at each one of their locations? Is that part of your draw from
We
the
have.
field?
Yeah, we have a water pump in Buffalo that's been requested to be staged up at the qualification side of the range, and then everybody should have their own MREs as well.
Okay, so they're bringing their own chow and water will be on station either in the Buffalo or Kansas. Okay,
Correct, sir. Yep.
perfect.
Also, just want to mention concurrent training opportunity would be driver's training, because again, we'll have to make sure to get folks through the JLTV, so if people have completed their shooting, they're probably gonna have to do driver's training if they haven't done that quite yet.
Okay, the one ask that I will have, whoever is leading land nav the next day, I would ask that you're out there with a protractor and a map at these other sites, because that is gonna be our biggest downfall come Saturday morning is land navigation. And I haven't seen a whole lot of it going on over the last couple of months. And all of you that talk shit to me about I didn't know how to navigate last year, I know how to navigate this year, you guys are also, some of you are still out wandering around. Please make sure that you go through some map reading, all right, and we'll talk about the events on that, but whoever's got that team, make sure that you stage out there your folks too. Walking some folks through it, that's some concurrent training.
Absolutely. That evening, I just want to say also, the brigade chaplain will be at 1981 after chow, and he will be putting on some sort of training event for a 2-hour block. That is, I would say, mandatory.
Oh,
as
it's
much as-
mandatory.
Okay, it's mandatory. I don't want to say that he said that. So anticipate that we will be there from 18:30 until complete. There might be an opportunity to get some more people there, with navigation, basic map reading after that, if need be.
I know the training schedule for yesterday and today was very heavy on land nav, so I'm not sure who was conducting that yesterday.
Okay. At this point, we are now going to transition over to Saturday's events, which, yes, sir.
Anybody have any question on range activities, concurrent training, schedule of events?
Any call outs? Any bottlenecks? Well, there's plenty of some out.
As far as movement goes, is that on the teams? As far as when we're moving people back and forth between the sites?
Yeah, so because it's beyond Camp Boston and our capabilities with our FM, we will end up having to use a, Growl or Grizzly, main, essentially a signal trap that we will use to kind of reach master folks. But just setting that expectation, because the colonel's very big on this. Once you come down this hill and you're within range of the command post, which will be at building, 1832, second floor, you should be using FM comms in and outbound, okay?
Hey, First Sergeant, we've got enough vehicles that all teams should be able to self-move. Yeah, teams, this is your time. You're moving your people, you're driving the training, you're ensuring and you're responsible for everything being conducted over the weekend within your teams. So, if you have a problem, that's when you call into Talia and staff to help you fix that.
One question, I know we're doing some concurrent training, are we capturing it, getting signing rosters and putting it in DTMS to count for all warrior task out drills?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, so that's a, there's like multiple levels that have to fail for that task to fail. Because one, the people who are running these ranges and these training lanes, part of your job as the team leading that exercise or that portion of the certification, you should be tracking who you're training, what their scores are, everything like that. Second of all, team OICs and NCOICs should be tracking and pushing to the CHOT team when, you know, when they're meeting their standards and their scores and what's been conducted on a daily basis with the CHOT team. All of that should be coming into the 3-shop, and the 3-shop shouldn't have to pull, but if needed, will be pulling that from both sides, and those should all be marrying up. And then the 3-shop will get that into DTMS on a daily basis, so it's not a huge crash after the weekend.
We had this conversation yesterday with the new personnel, and we were kind of walking through everything, and the expectation would be that OICs and TOICs would really walk that information, or if the CHOP wants to do it for himself, walk that information over to the S3 and physically hand it off to myself for master surgery. So we get it.
And that runs in parallel and looks like, what do we do at annual training? Yeah, when you come off the lane, you give your observances to someone in the command post, and they maintain it. This exact same thing is happening here within the command post.
Okay, now we will transition over to Saturday's events, which will take place on TA24.
Super
Oh,
Bowl.
land nav. I'm sorry.
Super Bowl.
Yep. Sorry.
What plan do we have in case vehicles break down either on the
Yeah.
driving orders?
Yeah, no, I got you. Sorry, I don't know if you saw the rehearsal notes. I actually will go over this at the end as well. But self-life recovery, your main point of contact for that will be First Sergeant Mahoon. Okay, so that's kind of what we did last year. Self-life recovery, First Sergeant Mahoon will be your point of contact. All
Good
right.
alibi.
Any other before we get into the Super Bowl? Yep.
What day and time is the chaplain?
That's gonna be, yep, over here, that's gonna be 11 April, I'll make sure that's listed on the St. Matrix, 11 April, 1830, building 1981. S. It's the place where we'll be eating, essentially. All right, now I'm gonna hand it over.
All right, so we're gonna get into the fun stuff for the OCT teams and our Super Bowl. So good morning, sir, teams, staff, and Major Carvajal. Me and my team will be the lead for the round robin training. That'll happen on 12 April to prepare for the WARX. So our mission is that we'll conduct team evaluation lanes or round robin 12 April on TA24 Fort Riley, Kansas, in order to evaluate our OCT teams on important skill level 1 teams. Also in this area, we're gonna have the cruiser familiarization training, and then potentially the concurrent drivers training in this area. So there's gonna be a lot going on. We're gonna have time to get through all of this stuff. I'll be the OIC. My RSO will be Captain Nuttall. My CLS team will be Sergeant Higgard and Sergeant Jones. We have our CASEVAC plan, sir. It's about 13 minutes from here to Irwin Hospital, but then we'll also be on comms with range control if needed.
Yeah, the one thing that you'll have that the others don't have, well, driver's training will too, what your inclement weather plan, because I don't believe there's an actual hard stand facility out there. So you'll have to think through that and brief it at.
Yes, sir. So right now we're planning on good weather, potentially humid, but packing list, make sure we have wet weather gear just in case, so we can get out there and do our land map. So our key tasks, and you can see our lanes set up kind of in a counterclockwise way. Troop leading procedures, a UAS spot rep, react to indirect fire, react to sea burn, which we got our ProMass yesterday from Sergeant Teal, react to contact, and then our medevac and 9-line lane. Key to this is our team's gonna.
One
Yes,
other,
sir.
and treat a casualty.
Yes, sir.
And treat a
Yep,
casualty.
that's our last lane.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So just something for our team, we're gonna utilize our time prior to Saturday to make sure we get everything set up, validate our lanes. While we're at our EST, once we're done, we can go over and kind of get everything ready. We've got our water points that we'll set out at the lanes just in case people run out of water. And then we've requested some external training equipment to kind of enhance the training, some dummies, a litter, so we can.
Or like a moulage kit or something?
What's that, sir?
You talking about a casualty moulage kit kind of thing to treat a casualty?
They're
Taxi.
taxi dummies.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Exactly, okay.
Mhm. So we'll draw that and get that set out on the lanes, just to kind of enhance it a little bit.
Perfect.
So our concept of operations, our teams, we expect all teams to be here at one time. We're expecting to start at 9 o'clock. That's when we'll all administer the brief and the safety brief by the RSO to all personnel. Upon completion of the briefs, the first team will stage, Team Bravo, to head out. Crew serve weapon, and I'll let them brief too, will be kind of in that starting point so we can run that along with the lanes. Then we'll kick out everyone at 20-minute interval and or however we see it with communication with the evaluators along the lane. If it's taking a little bit more time for someone to get to a certain point, we can kind of hold off, but just making sure the communication is there. So you'll run through your lanes. Upon completion, you'll do your AAR with your lane evaluator. We've 4 evaluators and teams, and sir, you can change if you'd like. We've got you with Bravo team, First Sergeant with Charlie team, the CHOT with Delta team, the S3 with Echo, XO with Foxtrot, and then the Battle Captain with Gulf. So those will be your assignments, and you'll be with them, and kind of putting it on you to help run through the lanes. I know going from last year, each evaluator will get some documents with your map, your locations, has where they're located, how far they are, and then your designations of your team lead, your navigator, your RTO. So prior to you kicking out, this is your time for rehearsals on those skills that you're going to test, designating your team leads for those, and then your go and your no-goes. We'll also give you a training reference card with those skills and tasks. So that evaluator has something to go off of and can conduct the ARR afterwards. Pending your questions, sir.
You will have
As far as the land nav, I don't have any questions. Are we gonna get some additional information on the concurrent piece of this?
Yes,
Like
sir.
you
We'll
said,
have
okay. You
goals
got something
running.
in there? Okay.
Yes, sir. And potentially we have some space out there that we can do some JLTV training. So once you go through the lane, we kind of pushed it back to start at 9, so we have time later in the day. So as your team gets done, if you need anyone else to go through driver's training, we'll have that there, if it'll work.
Okay, I'm gonna hand it over to Sergeant Hanson to brief the crew serve weapons portion.
Hold on 1 second. What's the uniform?
Hang tight, hang tight.
Uniform is the OCT gear, sir.
All of it, or is it modified?
Ooh, I'll have to get back to you on that one.
We going ATA? Okay. So we're gonna do a modified, still high pro gloves, but we'll go with soft cap.
Soft caps, okay. Yes, sir. And we have our risk assessment and our CASEVAC with
Okay.
us.
Sergeant Hanson, go ahead.
All right, Sergeant Hanson, good morning, sir. I'll be in charge of the NCOIC of the Crew Cert Weapon Familiarization out there at Training Area 24. We begin to be set up, ready to go at the same time as my navigation, so 09. I will have 4 other personnel with me: Sergeant Drescher, Sergeant Vincent, Sergeant Reynolds, and Sergeant Nelson. and unloading, since we do have the dummy rounds, and then field stripping those weapons. I think that's about it, sir. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions. So, inert rounds, immediate actions, capabilities, I think that's exactly what we wanted to achieve. And, can we get, where's Teal at? Is he down here? Do you think we could get a net or two? Does anybody have any nets?
Oh, we want to
Yeah. I'd like to put the cruiser weapons under travel net. Maybe two of them up there? Do we have them?
We write that down.
Okay, so tell them we'll split, two weapon systems under each net? Okay.
2 weeks,
Something like
sir.
that?
Yeah, we'll submit the request for you through SRTO. That's very well.
They will be doing this before they kick off.
Perfect,
And
that was
then
my
they will-
next
I
question.
knew you were going there. And then also available for anyone else who wants to touch up once they return, if they want to.
Okay, and the other thing is, if you are on OCT, it is 100% mandatory that you go through crew serve weapons. All right, familiarization. You're not qualifying, your familiarization. We had plenty of stoppages last year, so we should be able to insert ourselves, maintaining safety out there. Okay? Anybody else? Questions, concerns, comments, or what's going on at TA 24?
One quick one, sir, is just something that we spoke about a little bit yesterday with the 20-minute delay between each team. With the teams, would it be better suited to send both directions so that the final checkpoint is not sitting around waiting 2 hours for someone to come by? And you can increase the amount of personnel that are going through the land nav at a time.
You guys manage that piece however you want. Up to
We'll
you.
make a call once we're out there, we'll see how it's going, and if we wanna adjust it, we'll do that out there.
And that was gonna be my only alibi, is we still owe a detailed sync matrix specifically for Saturday to show when a team is showing up to get their points and start troop leading procedures versus when they're showing up for crew served versus when they're showing up to do the JLTV FAM on a closed course, which is right in that same area.
Across the street, yeah.
Yeah, honestly, sir, I think I'd like everyone to come at the same time, so that gives you a time and place to do rehearsals for all these battle drills. We don't do them that often, so just being out there, it gives you time to.
Who knows their base count?
We're not
We're gonna
gonna
do
give
that
them a
again.
set time for actual TLPs though, of like 30 minutes before SPs,
Yeah,
so.
okay, yeah. And sir, I failed to mention that we will have the pace count area set up with our engineer team.
Okay, perfect.
That's a good call out. The more rehearsals, the better.
Yeah.
Okay, just a couple notes on the command post, and I also want to introduce a couple gentlemen to you if you're not familiar. Captain Thibodeau and Captain Oxner. These two gentlemen are gonna be taking over essentially as battle captains, is my understanding, and if that's different, that's a clear door. So our command post operation will really be doing a lot of left seat, right seat. So these gentlemen will be kind of learning the S3 ropes per se. The command post will be located in the same barracks area. This year we actually have the second level of that building, so our command post will be located right there. We will have someone in the command post for 24 hours. We will not necessarily be running 24-hour operations, I guess you would say, since the training schedule dictates that. But there will always be someone in the command post. Our focus is going to be information management, obviously working with the teams and communicating so that we understand what the battlefield looks like, battlefield tracking, those kinds of things. Your typical command post. And most importantly, really going over the XOC and validating that again for publishment. Any questions about that? Pretty straightforward.
Just real quick, so the flow of communication. So we don't need to double report. I can get everything I need to shot from the CP. So it goes to the CP, then I can pull that and update the commander as necessary.
Absolutely, sir. Yeah, not a problem. All the OICs that we just talked about, everyone hear them? So we
saying just reporting through the signal lines, and he can essentially come in and get the battlefield update from the battle captains and provide that to the colonel. The CHOP set up. Okay. And then just to reiterate one more time, since it's the colonel's baby, in this general area, this AO, which is known as Funston, up until the hill by the fire department will be FM comms. Once you come down that hill, that's FM comms. Once you go outside of there, we will start to look at using the Grizzly main signal track as our primary at that point. Really, it's our ultimate. Okay.
Where's Sergeant First Class Hill? Is he briefing the combo piece?
He's actually at OCT now, so
Well, I think he's running
He was identified by Major Stockdale as the point of contact for the one ID.
when they come down to do the combats with us.
track it. Okay. We'll synchronize with him and make sure we have that our
Okay.
and our staff estimates.
Alright, so I can tell you how that piece is gonna work. So on Thursday, when all the vehicles are drawn, they'll be parked online on the south side of the barracks. And the one ID folks will come down and the operators will load the radios and do a commo check with each other. And then we'll zeroize the radios and we'll keep doing that until everybody gets a chance to go through it. Does that make sense? Before we go off and do great things. So we just need to deconflict that time, and then we should be good on that piece. That'll all take place at the barracks area. Yeah, tactical vehicle mobile. That's exactly where we'll happen.
Right there. I will touch base with Major Orzo, because I know his team would have to kick out a little bit early just to get to the ESD, so I will touch base with him and Sergeant Hill. So we're tight on our timeline.
All right.
Okay. All right, anything else for phase 2 that we want to discuss? Essentially, it entails all of our training events, right? Ends with the conclusion of the round robin. Anything else that we can think of?
I've just got a couple things. You just said it. We've got a very tight timeline. We're aggressively starting earlier than we have in the past, which I think is the right answer. But we're pushing a lot of things into this timeline. So there's not, people have to come prepared to get their asses moving. There can't be a lot of time at home station on Thursday morning. We've got a couple people that are gonna be going through some medical stuff, and that's going to delay them as well. On Thursday morning, there's just a lot going on. There can't be, you're not gonna have time to set up shop in the barracks on Thursday when you get there. You're dropping your shit and you're moving out. So, we've kind of got that throughout the whole weekend. So we have to maximize this time. It's, a whole 4 days, really 3 days and a wake up. So let's just maximize this time. The other thing that I see is we've got a lot of training during our chow time. So we're gonna have to work with First Sergeant and our 4 to make sure that training is completed, but that we're supporting our people with our meals. So we just gotta take a really close look at some of that, because I see some timelines that are possibly gonna be butting into that. So those are the only 2 things I really see that have me concerned about kind of the synchronization of phase 2.
So I think the O&I piece of this, the operations and intelligence piece, I think went very well. Do we have a A&L piece? Admin and logistics is the 1 or the 4?
Yes, sir. I'm about to go over.
All right, perfect.
The statement portion of it.
Okay.
Yeah. So next phase is consolidation. It begins after we complete TA 24's activities. And that really just entails exactly what it is: consolidation of equipment and personnel back into Camp Funston. Sensitive items check. We'll start to clean out vehicles, start to clean up a little bit. And then also for the 3, the major task there is consolidating and making sure everything is in DTMS, okay? So that's the focus for the consolidation piece.
And then, that evening, we'll start our phase 4, which is assessments. That will include conducting the battalion's after action review, that evening, followed by a OPOR brief for ROC 2502. For that AAR, I want you all to just be aware, we're gonna be covering phases 0 through 3, which is consolidation, so please take as many notes as possible. We'll take those comments and we'll plug them into our teams and make sure we drop them in there for next year, okay? This phase concludes when we complete our battalion AR and WARX outward brief. Phase 5 will be redeployment, and that begins at the conclusion of battalion AR. That'll be focusing on pre-positioning all the vehicles and equipment back to ECS 33, making sure they're gassed up and good to go. Clearing the barracks area as well as 1981, tearing down the command post. All those activities before we essentially retrograde back to that following day. Okay. When we get back to home station, no one will be released until 1300 hours that day. I know you put that out, sir. Just making sure everyone's hearing it one more time. No one will be released from home station until 1300 hours. And phase 5 concludes once we have 100% accountability, all personnel back at home of record. All right, so making sure that you're using your signal comms or sending text messages to your leadership so they can account for everyone that does get reported up to first sergeant and the 2 commanders. Okay, any questions about that?
That's no earlier than 1300.
No earlier. No earlier than 1300.
Yeah, a lot of ships move back home too.
I wanna ask one piece that we didn't talk about, right? Where's Tito? Right. Hey, can you come up here? So, we're gonna shoot Friday, right? Do you have an activity at the HaHa after we close down both the ranges? Or the 3 ranges? You gotta go back to the HaHa and keep the dunnage there, or do you?
If it's just dunnage, no.
No, it's just that, but if anything's lost,
So if we have any effective rounds or anything?
I lost it back in there.
Okay.
They will become damaged.
Alright. Note that with a foot stop there, range OICs.
Any other questions up into redeployment phase 5?
How's I know we talked MMA and then I would assume it's AMA on Friday and Saturday?
Yes, sir.
And then just
Mike's on Sunday.
both? Okay, the 2 of
Oh,
them?
it is?
Yep.
It's not AM?
No, sir, no. Okay, so I'll go through some of that sustainment piece. Class 1, you're tracking for Friday and Saturday will for sure be AMA. Sunday will be Mike. For those of us who are on ground on the 10th, it will probably be Mike, if I'm being honest with you. As far as water goes, we do have the water buffalo. That will primarily be at range 2 for the majority of the training for the ranges. We can get water jugs over here, and then it'll be positioned at TA-24. Otherwise, it'll be back in our AO at Camp Funston. Class 3, we have the 15-pack vans. If you need any fuel, Valero outside Ogden Gate is your point that you should go to. For our military vehicles, just south of the shopette is a fuel point, and you will scan a QR code that's on your vehicle, and that's how you will fuel your vehicles, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, perfect. As far as class 5 goes, I know we're tracking that we have no changes to our rounds. 5.56, we got 4,250. 9 mil, we got 1,760 rounds. And then first MCTV has their separate E581, and they've got 2,400 rounds at 9 mil. Okay. We've got cruiser buckling dummies. We've already talked about that. As far as equipment draw goes, 13 M1097s from ECS, as well as 2 FLAs. We'll have 2 JLTVs, 2 LMTVs. We have got the 8 15-pack vans and the 1 water buffalo. Those are our major end items that we'll have. Barracks, I believe, is being drawn on the 8th, turn in to be determined. I think that Sergeant Teal will end up taking care of that one day. As far as maintenance plan goes, we kind of talked about that. Your point of contact would be First Sergeant Mahmood, but Delta Light Recovery is most likely going to be what's in store for us. Arms room will be drawn on the 7th. Sergeant Keel is the point of contact for that. As far as the combo plan goes, more to follow. I will touch base with Sergeant Hill and coordinate that with the 1ID folks. That brings us to allies. Start with the teams. OICs and TOICs. You guys have any allies?
Nothing problem.
Okay.
None from us.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good, sir. What about the CHOP team? CHOP team, any allies?
One alibi, so on the offer, when I was looking through, it says just provide, we'll bring linens for the barracks. Does it include, what does it not include?
No, the individuals bring them.
Roger, yeah, but I mean, are pillows provided or? Okay, so it is everything.
You get a mattress and a
Oh,
mattress.
cute, new guy. Yeah.
Just wanted to make sure. I'm sure I'm not the only one.
They're actually nice barracks, for the most part.
Yeah, so I don't get any convoy points for this.
Yeah, sorry about that. Any other alibis? No? Okay, staff team, staff? Good, over there, 1, 4, 3.
Yeah, be prepared the night before your event kicks off. Be prepared to walk through a short rock drill with the commander and myself, based on his desire for that, and CHOP, yeah. That's just something that has become part of what we do here now, and it's the right answer. So, it's a quick run through just of what your operations are for the next day. We all know no plan survives first contact. This is a great plan, but things change. The other thing is, if you have not submitted a CONOP for your event, that needs to be to Captain Heimer for her review and then leadership review by the close of business today. So the ones I've seen so far are great, but we want to make sure that we have a CONOP for each one of our training events. Those will be in the binder, and those will be shared with the VIPs, and so the commander can look that up and make sure that he's tracking at every point.
And they're doing worksheets themselves, right? For each location?
So yeah, draws for each training event and location for your individual stuff. That's all I got.
Want me to read duos, get duos going before you
Yeah.
have closing comments?
Yeah.
All right, Sergeant Spangler. Your favorite?
For our duouts, we have the EST pistol / M4 concurrently. We have the confirmed evac personnel for the driver's training. EST, record the scores. Range personnel firing sequence, concurrent land nav training during driver's training / range. Inclement weather plan for TA-24. Commo nets from the ECS 33 for the crew serve weapons, and confirmed Sergeant First Class Hill is the 1ID Comex contact.
Just add, essentially like safe matrix. Thank you. Anything else you can think of?
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, it's yours for closing comments.
Oh, that's, sorry. It's Cam on that. I wrote, that's an A. Misread my own handwriting.
Hey, I'm not gonna belabor this. Hey, it was a great run through. We called out some things. I promise you, just like they said, this will not survive first contact. Something's inevitably gonna happen to us, and it's gonna throw off our timeline, and we're gonna have to quickly assess, make a recommendation, make a decision, and move forward. So constantly be thinking about how you're gonna manage your training activity out there. And what I did when I was in your position is, I thought it through with my team. What is the worst thing that could derail me? And I was prepared to take action if and when that thing happened. All right, don't plan for death. We're not gonna go that in depth, all right? But you know, if you have a gas event, do you have to shut down? You know, rehearse whatever range control requirements you have. Don't be fumbling through the books, you know, looking for the right answer. Be prepared. You know, and if you do that and you're prepared and you keep your teams moving, and you keep the soldiers training and moving through this, we will get through this. It will be fairly seamless. We will have a great time regardless of the weather, unless it's tornadic or something. Little drizzle, we'll be fine. Cold, we'll be fine. Do we know, is there going to be anybody on the adjacent training area with us?
No, sir.
Oh, thank God. We had like 6,001 ID soldiers last time, and it was utter chaos. But we got through it. Anybody have any questions of me on the intent or anything else? And please don't come up with a reason why you can't be there between now and Thursday. Do not come up with a reason for it. Your place of duty is right there because you're an OCT, and I will sign your certification at the end of this weekend. And if you're not there, I will not sign for you. You'll be uncertified. Maybe you sort trash at the P-Hop or something like that for Dibs. All right, so be there. It's a great event. I don't know what's going to happen when I leave. Hopefully the incoming commander will want to do this. If not, maybe you guys collectively can push for it. If you think it's of value, I personally think it's of value, because the one thing that we get a lot of in here is we get a lot of LISCO opportunity without shooting at each other, right? A lot of planning, a lot of movement, a lot of 10-level attacks on a 350-1, which is what you need to survive a LISCO fight, you know, as an individual. All right, any questions? All right, I look forward to seeing everybody on Thursday. That's three, they're yours. First Sergeant.